American Motors Sales Corporation presents RFC RO Proper Claim Form Preparation. Correct RFC RO request for credit repair order preparation is an extremely important job at AMC and Jeep dealerships, and it isn't always easy. It requires knowledge and dedicated attention to detail by everyone on the dealership service team. The service advisor, the mechanic, the parts manager, the claim clerk, and the service manager. Dealers can expect fast processing and credit posting on a claim when the Central Claim Department receives an RFC RO that's properly prepared and legible like this. In preparing this claim, the service advisor used 4 trouble blocks, A, B, C, and D. Note the spacing, neatness, and legibility of the labor and parts subtotals. Exactly how your dealership can furnish such neat and accurate RFC ROs to help ensure prompt processing is the subject of this film. The film should be seen by all personnel who contribute to claim preparation. In addition to this film, of course, you also have access to additional helpful sources: the Standard Servicing Operations Manual and the Guarantee or Warranty Administration Manual. Section 5 in the Guarantee or Warranty Administration Manual is where you find the guidelines for the proper preparation of an RFC RO. An RFC RO starts when the dealership determines an owner has one or more warranty-eligible complaints. The action begins when he or she visits the dealership service department and is greeted by a service advisor. He asked for her warranty guarantee folder or VIC card, which he uses along with the data recorder to fill in the owner and dealership identification sections. He checks all copies of the claim set to assure that the dealer code and the VIN characters are clearly legible on each. He then removes the overlay sheet and its carbon and disposes of them. Next, he fills in the header and upper portion of the RFC RO with the date, the mileage, with the exception of tenths of a mile, the year and model of the owner's car, and the license number. He then asks the owner to describe her problems to him. First, she says, "The car swerves to the left when I apply my brakes." The service advisor prints "Brakes pull left" in trouble block A. She then explains how her engine sometimes quits while driving at highway speeds. However, after stopping the car, the engine will start immediately. The service advisor prints "Engine dies on highway" in the next trouble block and marks it B. Next, she also complains of a rattle in the right door. The complaint is entered on the RFC RO, "Rattle in right door," in the next trouble block and marks it C. Now, since these are the owner's only complaints, this is how the RFC RO should appear. The owner is asked to sign in the customer block. When she leaves, the service advisor considers the problems and decides what has to be done. He then determines if any of the repairs require zone authorization. In this case, none do, so the service advisor takes the next step. He forwards the first 4 sheets of the claim set and their carbons to the parts clerk. The next step with this RFC RO takes place when he selects mechanic number 3 to road test the car and report his findings. Mechanic number 3 is punched in on the job and is given the hard copy prior to road testing the car. When the mechanic returns to report that the front brakes grab and pull to the left, he is told to pull the brake drums on the front wheels. This reveals the left front brake linings are saturated with brake fluid from a leaking cylinder. The mechanic has also discovered during the removal of the brake drums that the left front wheel outer bearing is rough. He reports to the service advisor, who prints "Left wheel cylinder leaking" in trouble block A. Next, he adds "Replace left front wheel outer bearing and outer cup" in trouble block D. discovered while doing A is added in the Information for Factory line, plus the figure 3 for the mechanic's number. The service advisor now initials the trouble block before returning the hard copy to the mechanic, who disassembles the brakes and wheel bearing and, when ready, takes the hard copy, along with the parts to be replaced, to the parts clerk. The parts clerk lines up the first 4 sheets of the claim set on top of the hard copy and then fills in the trouble block letters in the extreme left column, the parts numbers, description, quantity, and dealer net prices aligned with the corresponding problem. He also includes grease and brake fluid with the notation NPN, no part number, in the part number block. Next, he places an X in the description block in front of each part the mechanic has returned to the parts department. He then checks the Return Uniform Warranty Parts list, notes that none of these parts need to be returned, so returns the hard copy to the mechanic, plus the new parts as listed on the RFC RO. The mechanic now completes the repairs, enters his remarks on the back of the hard copy, and is punched out when he returns the hard copy to the service advisor. The service advisor and mechanic review the hard copy and make sure it is complete. The service advisor then turns to the Standard Servicing Operations Manual to determine the operation number, the time allowance, warranty reporting and defect codes to be entered on the RFC RO. From the Special Operations section, the service advisor enters 0713 in the operation number block and 1/10 in the time block to cover the test drive. Then, to cover drive-in, drive-out, he enters 0711 in the operation block and 1/10 in the time block. Note, the drive-in, drive-out operation and time may only be claimed once per repair visit. Now he enters the operation number and time for replacing the brake shoes. So he adds the figures 8010 and 6/10 in their appropriate blocks. Next, to cover the replacement of the wheel cylinder, the service advisor adds 8000C in the operation number block and 1/10 in the time block. Since the wheel cylinder caused the problem, the warranty reporting code and defect code must be obtained from this 8000C operation number and then written on the RFC RO in alignment with 8000C. This is covered in greater detail in the film reference book. In this case, the service advisor enters 8.114 in the warranty reporting code block and 105 in the defect code block. Now he completes trouble block D in the same manner by entering 8320B in the operation number block, 1/10 in the time block, and in the same alignment, 8.408 as the warranty reporting code and 63 as the defect code. Now the service advisor assigns mechanic number 8 to the engine and door problems and prints his number on the RFC RO. From the owner's description of the engine die-out symptoms, the service advisor has determined that the mechanic should follow the detailed procedures in Technical Bulletin number 22, Group 3000. The mechanic is punched in. While performing his Technical Bulletin fix, mechanic number 8 finds a bad sensor and the wrong wiring harness installed. He takes these parts and the hard copy to the parts clerk, who in turn leaves 2 blank lines following the parts for trouble A. The reason for the blank lines will be explained later. Fills in the parts information and places an X ahead of each part the mechanic has returned. He checks the Uniform Warranty Parts wall chart, where he discovers that the sensor must be returned to the AMC Warranty Parts Inspection Center. So, he makes a check mark in column R alongside the description block containing the word sensor. The harness, like any parts not listed as returnable claim material, can be scrapped by the parts clerk. Next, the parts clerk partially fills in both sides of the request for credit tag, attaches the tag to the sensor, and sets both aside to await the factory copy of the RFC-RO, which will contain the defect code. When the mechanic has finished the repairs, he is punched off the job when he returns the hard copy to the service advisor. The service advisor and the mechanic review the remarks on the back. Now the service advisor refers to Technical Bulletin number 22, and again, being careful to leave 2 blank lines following trouble code A, he enters the operation numbers, the time allowance, warranty reporting code, and defect code, which is always 7 when a technical bulletin fix is performed. This brings up 2 points for the service advisor to keep in mind. When he is unable to locate a warranty reporting code, he leaves that block blank on the RFC-RO. On the other hand, if he is unable to establish a standard service operation time, he must enter the actual repair time as straight time, ST. Be certain the warranty reporting code for the part causing the problem is entered and aligned with the operation number for each trouble. This includes any labor-only operations listed. When the service advisor is certain each of his entries is clearly legible and neatly aligned by trouble description, he sends the hard copy to the parts clerk, who matches the hard copy with the remaining copies of the claim set and makes certain that all parts have been returned by the mechanics. He determines this by the X's entered in front of the part name in the description block. The check marks in the R column denote claim material which must be returned to the factory. He then gives the RFC-RO claim set to the dealership claim clerk, who is responsible for completing the RFC-RO. The clerk transfers all information, including any management-authorized add-on repairs, from the front of the hard copy to the remaining sheets of the claim set. She then separates the customer's copy from the claim set and forwards it to the cashier for customer pickup. She now reinserts the hard copy under the remaining RFC-RO. The claim clerk then uses the blank spaces that have been left by the service advisor and the parts clerk to enter extended parts and labor subtotals and totals for each trouble. When more than one trouble is listed, the claim clerk must subtotal each trouble, leaving a blank line between each of the parts and labor subtotals. This is the reason for leaving 2 blank lines earlier. Next, the claim clerk enters the net parts and calculates and enters the parts allowance. The total net parts plus allowance added to the total labor is the grand total. Now, let's pause in our sequential presentation to remind the claim clerk that the grand total on a single claim cannot exceed $999.99. For example, here the parts for an expensive short engine block repair are listed on one claim and the labor on a second claim. Parts and labor are cross-referenced by simply entering the labor RFC-RO number on the parts claim and the parts RFC-RO number on the labor claim. This cross-referencing must also be done when the parts or labor for a trouble cannot be listed on one form. Now let's return to the more normal sequential steps of the claim preparation. She enters the repair order date, customer's name, and claim number in the dealership claim register. Again, more detailed instructions in the use of the claim register are in the film reference book. The next task is to separate the completed claims into 3 categories. These 3 categories are: 1. Special claims to be held for review with the zone service representative. These claims will be readily identified by the service advisor's note in the lower right-hand corner of the hard copy. 2. Claims involving required returnable material. The claim clerk determines these claims from the check marks in the R column. 3. Claims involving non-returnable materials and labor only. The claim clerk also makes certain that nothing inadvertently has been written or typed in the shaded portions of the claim. These areas are for factory use only. Now, the claim clerk takes or forwards all of the claims to the service manager, whose responsibility it is to carefully review and approve them before forwarding them in turn to the dealer for his signature. About that signature, whoever signs the claim certifies that the claim reflects work actually performed according to the terms of the Guarantee or Warranty Administration Manual. When the signed claims are returned, the claim clerk enters the grand total of each of the claims in its appropriate place in the claim register, then removes the dealer accounting file copy from each claim set and posts the information in the appropriate sales journals. Next, she enters the page number of the claim register and the sales journal on the dealer accounting file copy and files it. Now, the claim clerk sets aside file number 1, which contains all claims awaiting zone authorization, and turns to files number 2 and number 3, from which the hard copies are extracted and returned to the service department for filing. She also removes the factory copy from claims in file number 2 involving returnable claim material, sends them to the dealership parts department, and enters a check mark in column 5 of the claim register indicating the copy has been forwarded. Factory copies of claims in file number 3, which don't contain returnable material, are detached and destroyed. Next, she mails unfolded and in the special pre-addressed envelope the CCD copy with any required claim supporting attachments to Central Claim Department. Complete information about the required supporting attachments is covered in Section 5 of the Guarantee or Warranty Administration Manual. Next, the claim clerk records the date the claims were mailed in the claim register. Please note that claims must be submitted within 30 days after the repair order date or zone authorization date. Compliance with this factory policy best assures that claims get fast processing. The parts clerk matches each factory copy he receives from the claim clerk with its returnable claim material and enters the defect code on the tag. He includes the factory copy and the part with the tag in the same container for shipment to the Zone Parts Distribution Center for subsequent forwarding to the Warranty Parts Inspection Center at Kenosha, Wisconsin. The final transaction in the warranty claim preparation procedure occurs when the parts clerk notes the RFC RO number on the back of the bill of lading for the returnable claims material and sends it to the claim clerk. Note, even though some other method of delivery is utilized, such as a dealership pickup truck, some form of bill of lading is essential. This form is necessary to allow the claim clerk to enter the date in the material returned column of the claim register. And now you've seen and heard how an accurate, legible, and complete RFC RO, one that assures fast payment, is prepared. More helpful details are in the accompanying film reference book. As mentioned earlier, it isn't always easy. It takes knowledge, teamwork, and the watchful eye of a dedicated claim clerk.